Hello learners, this is Shawn from the Kindergarten Education team with you again today. For today's activity, we are going to blend some cooking in the kitchen, and we're going to talk about how science is involved in the kitchen by making a nice cool beverage to drink on a hot day. For today's activity, it's going to be called banana lassi. A lassi is a type of drink that you typically find in India. It's a flavored beverage. A lot of times it's going to be chilled. And they have both sweet and spiced versions. The spiced versions are going to have a lot of flavor. They're not going to necessarily be a sweet beverage. It's going to use a bunch of different spices and herbs. For today's, we're going to make more of a dessert style that you might enjoy after being outside in a hot day. And it's going to be the banana lassi, which is more of a sweet type. For today's activity, you're going to need a few different items that you might find in your kitchen. There are some substitutes you can use, and we'll talk about those. The first thing you're going to want is you're going to want to have 1 heaping cup of a banana. So we're going to chop up the banana. Probably about 1 or 2 bananas should be good. You're going to want to have a half a cup of fat-free Greek yogurt. You can do like a flavored vanilla if you really want to add something different to it. Kind of whatever you have around the house, but some fat-free vanilla Greek yogurt or plain Greek yogurt. You're also going to have a half a cup of low-fat milk. So I'm using just some low-fat almond milk that I have. And then you're going to want just a very small dash of cinnamon. So it's really going to be probably less than you might have a measuring cup for. So it's really a light dash. The cups you're going to want to have are going to be a half cup, which I've already used to separate out my Greek yogurt and my milk. You're going to want to have a full cup so you can measure out your bananas. And I have a 1/4 of a teaspoon that I'm going to be using. The recipe only calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon of, I'm using cinnamon. You can also use cardamom. That's what the recipe calls for, but they're fairly similar. It just kind of adds some flavor. But you're wanting 1/8 of a teaspoon of it. So I don't have an 1/8 teaspoon, so I'm using about a half of one of my 4th teaspoons. So just a small amount of it, just enough to give a dash of flavor. And then you're going to have a cutting board, some butter knives, or some plastic knives that you can allow your child to cut with, to let them help you prepare and talk about the importance of measuring ingredients and making sure you maintain the measurements. If I use twice the amount of seasoning and half the amount of banana, what's that going to do to the flavor? And then you'll want to have a blender or something that you can use to mix it up. We're going to talk about some of the ways that you can kind of explore how technology helps us in the kitchen once we get to that step. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and prepare my bananas so we can compare and make sure we have all of our pieces together. And then we're going to look at what the difference is before we mix them and after we mix them and the impacts of having technology that helps us do that tool. So let me go and get our bananas ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and chop up our bananas. The bananas don't have to be perfectly chopped because this is going to be blended and mixed together. So, this is a good chance to teach about safe cutting practices in the kitchen and the importance of, proper portioning and following recipes and instructions and things like that with your child. So use a plastic knife or a butter knife and have your child help in the cutting process of cutting up the bananas. We need to get a heaping cup of a banana, so it's going to take a couple of bananas to do that. Make sure we don't have too little because that's going to be the bulk of the flavor that we want to have. So I'm using, it looks like it's going to be about a banana and 1/3 of another banana or a banana and 1/2 of a banana. We're going to chop these up. All right, that should be pretty good. So we have 1 heaping half cup of banana. What we mean by heaping is it's going to go a little bit over. Ask your child if this is an exact cup of banana, because since we have all these pieces, they can't necessarily fill in all the gaps. So this isn't an actually full banana. We would have to turn this liquid in order for it to fill its container. So we have a cup of banana. We have our half cup of milk. We have our half cup of Greek yogurt, and we have our dash or 1/8 of a teaspoon in our case we're using cinnamon, and we're going to mix these into a bowl. And what I want us to do for this activity that's going to be a little bit different is we're going to actually make it into 2 different bowls. So you can either make 2 servings of banana lassi or split this serving into 2, mostly to have a discussion. They will be recombined eventually. So I'm going to go and combine 1 set of banana here, and then I'm going to make a second banana lassi in the second bowl so we kind of compare how those work. All right, so now that I've made 2 servings of banana lassi, what I did differently, where you're going to ask your child what was different about them. So I've already blended this banana lassi together, and this is all the individual pieces. What you should have your discussion with your children about right now is what the difference between the two are. Is there anything that's missing from the blended or unblended piece? Are they the same materials? Are they the same substance? And the big conversation is between a mixture and a solution. So can we separate the pieces of this banana lassi? Can we separate these pieces? What they're learning about is a chemistry concept of a mixture and a solution. And what we have is that I could separate this banana lassi. I could reach in and pull a piece of banana out. Whereas in this one, if I just wanted to pull the banana out of the blended lassi, I wouldn't be able to do it because they're all blended together now. It's all turned into a liquid form, so I can't separate these pieces. You can also have conversations, especially with our younger learners, about how we have different tools compared to what we used to have in order to be able to make blended drinks like this. So we have our blender now, and for our kids today, that's going to be a fairly normal thing. That's not new technology. It's something that's been around for a while. But not that long ago, people would have to blend this by hand, by using a whisk or a spoon or a fork to beat and mash it together and just work on it for a while. So have your child mix and explore what it takes to mix this banana lassi together, and then they can finish it in the blender and have the discussions of why, even though we have so much technology around us today, we have the desire and the need and the effort to push technology forward to find new ways of accomplishing old tasks. So they can use a spoon or a fork and have them try to hand mix their banana lassi in the unmixed version, and then they can blend them together. After having those discussions about the advancement of technology and the importance to continue to research and study, the importance of the science and engineering fields to continue to move our society forward, as well as having some of those chemistry discussions about mixtures and solutions, have them add the liquids into cups and put those in the refrigerator to chill. And once they've chilled to a cool level, because blending will heat them back up a little bit, save them for after they've gone outside and played or they've hung out on the balcony, and bring those back out to drink and enjoy the efforts of their scientific activity. As always, thank you for coming in, hanging out, and spending time with me today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Make sure you visit our pages to see all the activities we post. And if you do this activity or any of the others, please share it on our feed or in the comments so we can see all the learning still happening at home. Have a great day.